People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Carl Gustav Jung. And Carl Gustav Jung, one of the greatest minds of the modern world, the father of analytical psychology, the mapper of dreams, symbols, and the collective unconscious. But in 1913, Jung faced a crisis so profound he feared he was losing his mind. Instead, he surrendered. He called it a confrontation with the unconscious, a journey inward toward a deeper awakening. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Carl Jung. Night after night, for 16 years, Jung plunged into dreams, visions, and waking fantasies. He recorded them not as science, but as myth, ritual, and revelation. He painted mandalas, cosmic maps of the self. He spoke with spirit beings like Philemon, a wise guide who led him through the abyss. This was no journal. It was a gospel of the soul. Born in darkness, lit by inner fire, I had to let myself plummet into the depths. Carl Jung. Why did Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds of the 20th century, create a sacred book of visions only to seal it away for nearly a century? The answer lies not only in the content of the Red Book, but in the world around him. Jung knew what he had seen, visions of gods and demons, of inner death and radiant rebirth, of conversations with beings not of this world. To him, they were not hallucinations, they were real. I knew that I had to let myself plummet down into the depths. Carl Jung. But he also knew something else. The world was not ready, not a world on the edge of World War I, not a world clinging to materialism, progress, and industrial logic. To speak of these visions aloud would be to risk everything: his career, his family, his very place in the human order. The Red Book, known by Jung as Liber Novus, the New Book, contained more than private reflections. It was a gospel of the soul written in illuminated script, like a medieval scripture. To a scientific world, it would look like madness. To a rigid academia, it would seem like heresy. Even Jung's closest followers were afraid of it. No one should be subjected to it who is not already deeply grounded in himself. Marie-Louise von Franz, Jung's protégée. So Jung locked it away, not out of shame, but out of reverence. A fire too strong must be kept in stone, or it will burn what it was meant to illuminate. For over 80 years, the Red Book remained hidden. Jung's descendants, guardians of his legacy, debated endlessly. Would releasing it destroy his reputation? Would it be misused, misunderstood? During Jung's life, several people saw his Red Book. It was often present in his office, but only a very few individuals who were personally trusted by him had the opportunity to read it. After Jung's death in 1961, his heirs held the book as a private legacy and refused access to it by scholars or other interested parties. After many years of careful deliberations, the estate of C.G. Jung finally decided in 2000 to allow publication of the work, and thereafter began preparations for it. It was not until 2009, long after Jung's death, that the Red Book was finally published. Even then, its pages came with warnings. This is not a psychological manual. It is a living document, a mirror for those brave enough to look into their own abyss. What knowledge lay inside, so powerful that it had to be buried? What truth did Jung fear would awaken a world not yet ready to remember its soul? The Red Book is no ordinary diary. It is a gospel of inner alchemy, a sacred manuscript of myth and madness, a map through the underworld of the psyche. This was not science. This was soul work. Jung saw that each human being must pass through their own spiritual crucible, not once in a lifetime, but again and again, in sacred cycles of death and rebirth. In this book, Jung recorded the journey every soul must take, the descent into the shadow, the death of the ego, and the painful birth of the self, the divine center within. He did not theorize this. He lived it. He wrote of facing gods and serpents, of going mad only to discover that madness was a mask worn by wisdom. He called it the confrontation with the unconscious. I had to learn that it is precisely through the loss of control that one finds the soul. Carl Jung, Liber Novus. The shadow must not be repressed. It must be met, spoken to, and integrated. The shadow is not evil. It is the part of us we fear to see. Buried in shame, anger, guilt, or trauma, it waits in the depths of the unconscious. Jung teaches that when we repress the shadow, it does not disappear. It grows stronger in secret. To heal, we must walk into the darkness and name what we have denied. Only by befriending the shadow do we recover lost power and wholeness. The ego is not the king. It is the mask. The real ruler is the self, a divine presence that waits beneath our identity. The ego is our conscious self, the I we show the world. But the Red Book reveals that this surface identity is hollow without the self, the inner divine center. The self is the totality, the union of conscious and unconscious, mortal and divine. The ego must humble itself and surrender the throne, not to vanish, but to serve a greater wholeness. This is not ego death. It is ego transformation. The Anima and Animus, the sacred feminine and masculine within, must dance, not dominate. Every soul carries both feminine and masculine energies, regardless of gender. The anima, inner feminine, and animus, inner masculine, are bridges to the unconscious. When unbalanced, they become tyrants, emotional chaos, or rigid logic. But when they dance in harmony, they awaken intuition, creativity, and spiritual insight. The sacred marriage within brings peace without. Symbols are not fantasy. They are the lost language of the soul. In modern times, symbols have been reduced to superstition or metaphor. But to Jung, symbols are alive, messages from the unconscious, glimpses of the eternal. A serpent, a mandala, a tree of light. These are not decorations but revelations. They bypass logic and speak directly to the soul's memory. To dream in symbols is to remember who we were before we forgot. Without myth, modern humans forget who they are. We are not just biological beings when we are mythic beings. Myths once guided us through birth, death, transformation, and the sacred mysteries of life. Jung believed that when a culture loses its myths, it loses its meaning. We begin to chase hollow goals, numbing the soul with noise and progress. The Red Book calls us back to myth, to live not just efficiently, but deeply. In 2009, nearly 50 years after Jung's death, the Red Book was released to the world. And it shook the very foundations of modern psychology. After decades of secrecy, debate, and reverence, the veil was lifted. What had been feared as madness was now seen as mystical genius. It was not just a journal. It was a revelation, an atlas of the soul, a roadmap for spiritual rebirth. Here was a psychologist, one of the 20th century's greatest minds, who dared to say, reason alone is not enough. The soul cries for symbols, stories, myth, the sacred. Therapists began rethinking the purpose of healing. Artists found visions in its pages. Seekers wept over its strange, beautiful truths. The Red Book is not a book, it is a mirror, a whisper from the unconscious, a portal into the buried temple of your own being. Carl Jung left behind more than writings. He left a map, a blueprint etched in soul fire. But a map is not the journey. To walk the path is to step into the unknown, to risk your illusions, to meet your shadow and embrace your forgotten light. To descend is not to fall, but to return to where the soul waits patiently beneath the noise. Here, in this place between pages and dreams, you will remember that you are more than thought. You are myth. You are mystery. You are meaning. Some books change your mind. This one changes your soul.